In the vast expanse of space, humanity had always dreamed of finding other civilizations. We imagined peaceful first contact scenarios, cultural exchanges, and diplomatic relations. But reality had different plans. When we finally ventured beyond our solar system, we discovered a galaxy teeming with advanced alien species, and they weren't exactly thrilled to meet us. You see, humans had a reputation that preceded them, not because we were particularly aggressive or bloodthirsty, but because we were different. While other species evolved towards peaceful cooperation, avoiding conflict at all costs, humanity's history was forged in the fires of constant challenge and adversity. Our ships weren't the most advanced, our weapons weren't the most powerful, but there was something about us that made the galaxy's oldest civilizations nervous. It all started when the Galactic Council detected our first faster-than-light jump. Their long-range sensors picked up the energy signature of the U.S. Pathfinder as it tore through the fabric of space-time. The Council's immediate response: panic. Not because of our technological achievement, but because of what they found in their ancient archives about Earth and its inhabitants. I remember sitting in that first council meeting as humanity's representative. The looks on their faces, all 6 eyes, tentacles, or whatever sensory organs they possessed, told me everything I needed to know. They had been watching us, studying our broadcast signals, our wars, our movies, our sports, and they were terrified. Not of our weapons, but of our resilience, our ability to survive, our unwillingness to accept defeat. Your species, the council elder said, their translators struggling to convey their mix of awe and fear, recovered from the brink of extinction multiple times. You turned your deadliest poisons into medicines. You deliberately inject yourselves with weakened diseases to become stronger. You practice fighting for fun. You run extreme distances in harsh conditions for entertainment. How is this possible? I tried explaining that this was just normal human behavior, but that only made things worse. The council chamber erupted in nervous chittering when I mentioned how humans would break and reset bones to make them stronger, or how we voluntarily jumped out of perfectly good aircraft for the thrill of it. But what really sent shockwaves through the galactic community was when they learned about our military history, not because of our weapons, those were primitive compared to theirs, but because of our tactics, our strategies, and most importantly, our motives for fighting. While other species fought only for resources or territory, humans fought for ideas, for freedom, for people we'd never even met. The first time a human warship responded to a distress call from a civilian transport under pirate attack, it changed everything. The pirates, used to prey that would surrender immediately to avoid conflict, weren't prepared for Captain Sarah Chen's response. She didn't just defend the transport. She hunted down every single pirate vessel, disabled their engines, and arrested their crews, not for revenge, but because it was the right thing to do. That's when the rumors started spreading. Stories about human ships appearing out of nowhere to defend the helpless. Tales of human crews surviving situations that should have been certain death. Legends of human ingenuity turning the tide of battles that seemed impossible to win. Now, as I stand on the bridge of the U.S. frontier, staring at the massive alien fleet blocking our path to the colony we've sworn to protect, I can't help but smile. They don't understand that outnumbering us only makes us more determined. They don't realize that their ultimatum to surrender will only strengthen our resolve, and they're about to learn why. Throughout human history, the most dangerous words anyone could hear were, "against all odds." I watched as our tactical display lit up with more enemy signatures than I'd ever seen before. The alien fleet stretched out like a wall of steel and energy shields, their ships arranged in the perfect defensive formation that their advanced AI had calculated. Under normal circumstances, any rational commander would retreat, but we humans have never been very good at following the expected path. "Sir," Lieutenant Rodriguez called out from her station, her fingers dancing across the holographic controls, "I'm detecting unusual energy readings from their fleet. They're not charging weapons. They're powering up some kind of massive energy shield network. They're trying to box us in." I nodded, remembering the classified reports about this particular species, the Verax. They were master strategists, but their strategies were based on pure logic and mathematics. They couldn't comprehend why humans would sometimes choose an objectively worse tactical position just to save a single life. It made us unpredictable, and in their world of calculated perfection, unpredictability was terrifying. The colony behind the Verax blockade had gone dark 3 days ago. 2,000 human settlers, including hundreds of children, were counting on us. The Verax had demanded we abandon the colony, claiming the system had always been their territory. They didn't expect us to call their bluff. They certainly didn't expect us to send our most advanced warship to challenge their entire defense fleet. "Engineering reports ready, sir," my XO reported, her voice steady despite the tension. "The modifications to the shield harmonics are complete. It's untested, but Dr. Chen says it should work." That was another thing that baffled our alien neighbors: human innovation under pressure. While other species relied on carefully tested and proven technologies, humans had a knack for coming up with crazy ideas and making them work through sheer determination. Dr. Chen's theory about using our shield frequencies to create a resonance cascade in their energy network was exactly the kind of insane plan that might just work. "All hands," I announced over the ship-wide comm. "This is the captain. You all know what's at stake here. 2,000 of our people are counting on us. The Verax think they have us cornered. They think their superior numbers and technology make this a simple equation with only one possible outcome. But they forgot to factor in the most important variable: human ingenuity." The bridge crew straightened in their seats. I could see the determination in their eyes, the same look I'd seen in history books showing soldiers at Thermopylae, sailors at Midway, and colonists during the Mars crisis. It's a uniquely human expression, the moment when impossible odds stop being a deterrent and become a challenge to overcome. Tactical: load the modified torpedo patterns. Navigation: plot the course exactly as we discussed. Engineering: prepare for emergency power redistribution. Communications: send them our response. The Verax commander's hologram appeared on our main screen, their crystalline form shifting in what I'd learned to recognize as confusion. "Human vessel, you are significantly outnumbered. Your colony has violated our sovereign space. Withdraw now, or we will be forced to demonstrate our technological superiority." I stepped forward, allowing myself a small smile, the kind of smile that human commanders have worn throughout history, right before proving everyone wrong about what's possible. "Actually," I replied, "I think it's time we demonstrated something of our own." The bridge fell silent as we prepared to execute our plan. A plan that violated about a dozen laws of physics, but just might work because we decided it had to. After all, that's what humans do best: achieve the impossible because nobody told us we couldn't. Executing maneuver in 3, 2, 1. Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice cut through the tense silence on the bridge. The U.S. frontier lurched forward, our modified shields blazing with an intensity that made the view screens automatically dim. We weren't just pushing against the Verax energy barrier. We were about to do something that their logical minds had never considered possible. The first sign that our crazy plan might actually work came when their perfect formation began to waver. Their energy network, designed to form an impenetrable wall, started showing microscopic fluctuations. Dr. Chen's theory was proving correct. Their highly organized shield matrix couldn't handle the chaotic resonance patterns we were generating. It was like introducing a random drumbeat into a perfectly synchronized orchestra. "Sir," the sensor officer called out, her voice rising with excitement, "their shield network is experiencing cascading disruptions." But she paused, frowning at her readings. "Our own shield stability is dropping faster than predicted. Hull integrity will be compromised in less than 3 minutes if we maintain this course." That was the problem with human innovations. They often came with a hefty price tag. We were essentially using our ship as a battering ram, but instead of brute force, we were using carefully calculated shield frequencies to disrupt their defensive network. The cost? Our own shields were burning out from the strain. The Verax commander's hologram flickered to life again, their crystalline structure vibrating with what I'd learned to recognize as profound distress. "This is impossible. Your actions defy all strategic logic. You will destroy your own vessel before you breach our defenses. "That's where you're wrong," I replied, gripping my command chair as another shudder ran through the ship. Humans had a long history of achieving the impossible. We didn't come here to win a battle. We came here to save our people. And there's nothing more dangerous than humans fighting to protect their own. Warning klaxons blared across the bridge as our shield generators pushed well beyond their design limits. The crew worked frantically at their stations, rerouting power, adjusting frequencies, doing everything possible to buy us just a few more seconds. That's another thing that made humans unique in the galaxy: our ability to function, even excel, in the face of imminent disaster. Engineering reports shield collapse in 60 seconds. My XO shouted over the growing chaos. The ship's superstructure groaned under the strain, but we pressed forward. The Verax fleet's perfect formation was now visibly distorted, their ships moving in confused patterns as their defensive network began to unravel. Through the main viewport, I could see it happening, a spreading ripple of disruption moving through their energy barrier like cracks in a frozen lake. We were seconds away from either a breakthrough or catastrophic failure. The fate of our colony, our crew, and possibly the future of human-alien relations hung in the balance. "All hands, brace for impact," I ordered, watching as the disruption pattern reached its critical point. The Verax fleet was in disarray now, their ships moving erratically as their commanders tried to compensate for something their advanced AI had never encountered: human unpredictability. What happened next would either go down in history as one of humanity's greatest tactical innovations or our most spectacular failures. As our shields reached their breaking point and the Verax barrier began to collapse, I realized we were about to show the galaxy why humans had survived everything our harsh homeworld had thrown at us. The bridge erupted in blinding light as our shields finally made contact with the weakened barrier. In that moment, suspended between triumph and disaster, I understood why the galaxy feared human warships. It wasn't our technology or our weapons. It was our unbending determination to succeed, even in the face of impossible odds. The blinding flash faded, and for a moment, everything went silent. Through the clearing energy discharge, we could see the impossible: a massive hole torn in the Verax defensive line. Our crazy plan had worked, but what we saw through that breach made my blood run cold. The colony wasn't just under blockade. Massive energy signatures were emanating from the surface. "Sir," Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice cracked with urgency, "I'm detecting quantum field manipulations from the planet's surface. The Verax, they're not just blocking access to the colony. They're trying to hide something." Her hands flew across the controls, bringing up detailed scans on the main screen. That's when we realized the true nature of our situation. The Verax hadn't moved against our colony because of territorial claims. They were desperately trying to contain something they'd discovered in this system, something that made even their logically driven minds resort to desperate measures. "Captain," our science officer called out, his face pale as he studied the readings, "those energy signatures. They match ancient patterns we found in human archaeological sites, the ones we could never explain." He looked up, his eyes wide. "Sir, I think we just stumbled into something much bigger than a territorial dispute." The Verax commander's hologram appeared again, but this time their crystalline form showed patterns I'd never seen before. Humans, they spoke, their translators struggling to convey their emotional state. "You don't understand. We weren't trying to take your colony. We were trying to protect the galaxy from what your people left here long ago." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Our colony had gone dark not because of the Verax blockade, but because they'd discovered something. Something that connected to humanity's mysterious past, something so significant that one of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations was willing to risk war to keep it contained. Multiple contacts emerging from the planet's surface. Tactical announced, their voice tense. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database, but they're responding to human frequencies. The main screen filled with images that defied explanation. Structures rising from beneath the colony, ancient machines awakening after eons of dormancy. Our shields were barely functional, our weapons systems strained from the breakthrough attempt, and now we faced something that neither humanity nor the Verax fully understood. The colony's distress signals had stopped completely, replaced by strange transmissions in a language that seemed both alien and hauntingly familiar. "Sir," my XO whispered, "the patterns. They're forming words in every human language, ancient and modern." She swallowed hard before continuing. "It's saying, 'The children of Earth have returned. The great sleep is over.'" I watched as more energy signatures emerged from the planet, each one more powerful than the last. We had come here to save our colony, but instead, we might have awakened something that had been waiting for humanity to return to the stars. Something that made even the mighty Verax fleet retreat in fear. The ship's eyes started translating more of the emerging signals, and each decoded message made it clearer. Humanity's story in the galaxy was far older and far more complex than we had ever imagined. As both human and Verax ships hung in space, watching the ancient power below awaken, I realized that our breakthrough had triggered something that would change the course of galactic history forever. "All hands," I announced, my voice steady despite the gravity of our situation, "prepare for emergency maneuvers. We didn't just find our colony, we found humanity's legacy among the stars. The question now wasn't just about saving 2,000 colonists. It was about facing a truth that could reshape everything we thought we knew about our species." The ancient structures continued to rise from the planet's surface, their crystalline spires pulsing with an energy that seemed to resonate with every human aboard the Frontier. The Verax fleet had fallen back, their perfect formation now a scattered defensive line as they watched the scene unfold with what I could only imagine was terror. "Captain," our communications officer interrupted, "I'm receiving a transmission from the colony. It's Administrator Taylor." The main screen flickered to life, showing our colony's leader. But something was different about her. Her eyes held a strange glow, and her voice carried an otherworldly resonance. "Captain," she spoke, each word seeming to echo with ancient power, "your arrival has awakened them. The guardians left by our ancestors, humanity's first journey to the stars. We didn't lose contact because we were under attack. We lost contact because we were being upgraded." The sensor readings confirmed her words. Every colonist's neural patterns had been altered, enhanced in ways our science couldn't explain. They weren't just surviving. They were evolving, being transformed by technology so advanced it might as well have been magic. The Verax weren't trying to stop us from reaching our people. They were trying to prevent humanity from reclaiming its forgotten inheritance. "Sir," Rodriguez called out, her voice filled with awe, "the colonial defense systems are activating, but they're not what we thought they were. Those weren't defense platforms. They're memory banks. The entire colony was built on top of, she struggled to find the words. "A library," I finished for her. "The greatest library in the galaxy, built by humans, hidden by time, and protected by the very forces that led us to settle this world without knowing why. The pieces were falling into place. Our inexplicable drive to establish a colony here, the Verax's desperate attempts to keep us away. It all made sense now." But the real shock came when Administrator Taylor revealed the truth that had been buried beneath their feet. "Captain, we weren't the first humans to reach the stars. We were the last. Our ancestors, they seeded the galaxy with outposts like this one, not to conquer, but to preserve, to ensure that when humanity finally returned to space, we would find guides to help us avoid their mistakes." The Verax commander's hologram appeared one final time, their crystalline form dimmed with what seemed like resignation. "Now you understand. Your species, your ancestors. They didn't fear war or death. They feared their own power. They created these vaults, these libraries, not as weapons, but as warnings, as guardians to ensure that when humanity finally reached the stars again, they would do so with wisdom rather than just technology." "Sir," my XO reported, "the colonial transforms are complete. Our people, they're still human, but now they can access the ancient knowledge. They're not just colonists anymore. They're custodians." She paused, checking her readings. "And sir, the library is requesting permission to upgrade our ship and crew as well." I stood at the command center, facing a decision that would change humanity's path forever. We had come expecting a battle, only to find our own history waiting to teach us its greatest lessons. The Verax fleet now waited, not as enemies, but as witnesses to humanity's reunion with its forgotten past. Permission granted, I said finally, feeling the ancient energy begin to pulse through the frontier. As the upgrade began, I understood why the galaxy had feared human warships. Not because of what we might destroy, but because of what we were destined to rebuild. We weren't just exploring space. We were coming home to the legacy our ancestors had left for us, hidden in the stars, waiting for the day we would be ready to learn from their wisdom rather than repeat their mistakes. The light engulfed our ship, and in that moment I knew the galaxy's fear of humans was about to transform into something far more powerful. As the ancient energy flowed through our ship and crew, I watched the transformation unfold through new eyes, literally. The knowledge integration was unlike anything we could have imagined. We didn't just receive information, we gained understanding that spanned millennia. The Verax watched in stunned silence as the U.S. frontier underwent its metamorphosis, our hull now shimmering with the same crystalline patterns as the structures below. The most remarkable thing wasn't the technological upgrade, it was the perspective it brought. Through the library's vast database, we saw the true history of humanity's first journey to the stars. Our ancestors hadn't retreated from space out of fear or failure. They had chosen to start over, to give their descendants a chance to evolve naturally, to earn their place among the stars rather than inherit it. Captain's log, 3 months after first contact with the library. The galaxy has changed. The Verax, once our adversaries, have become our most dedicated students. They've discovered something their logical minds had never considered, that the greatest wisdom comes not from perfect calculation, but from learning from failure. Our colony has become a beacon, drawing peaceful delegations from across known space. The technological gifts left by our ancestors weren't weapons or tools of conquest. They were teaching aids designed to help us understand the fundamental truth they had discovered, that the power to reshape worlds means nothing without the wisdom to know when not to use it. Each upgraded human retained their individuality, their free will, but now carried within them an understanding of the responsibilities that come with such knowledge. Administrator Taylor's team has only begun to scratch the surface of the library's archives, but what they've found has reshaped our understanding of humanity's place in the cosmos. We weren't latecomers to the galactic community. We were the guardians who chose to step back, to give other species room to grow, to learn, to evolve in their own ways. The frontier now serves as an embassy of sorts, bridging the gap between Earth's current civilization and the legacy of our past. Other human colonies have discovered similar vaults, each containing different pieces of our ancestral knowledge. Not weapons or tactical advantages, but cultural treasures, scientific understanding, and most importantly, the hard-learned lessons of a civilization that had grown wise enough to know when to start over. The galaxy no longer shakes with fear when human warships appear. Instead, they watch with curiosity and hope. Our vessels have become symbols not of military might, but of the balance between power and wisdom. The Verax fleet that once blocked our path now escorts human ships, eager to learn from a species that had mastered not just the science of the stars, but the art of knowing when to wait, when to act, and when to teach. As I stand on the bridge of the transformed frontier, watching Earth's first official delegation approach the colony, I can't help but smile. We came here ready for war, but found something far more valuable, our own story, and with it, the understanding that the greatest victories don't come from overwhelming force or superior technology, but from the wisdom to know that every species, every civilization, has something to teach and something to learn. The galaxy had feared human warships because they sensed, somehow, that we carried within us the seeds of tremendous change. They were right, but not in the way anyone expected. Our ships now sailed between the stars not as harbingers of war, but as bridges between past and future, between species and civilizations, between power and wisdom. And as our ancestors had hoped, when humanity finally did return to claim its legacy, we did so not with weapons drawn, but with open minds and ready hearts, prepared at last to become not the conquerors of the galaxy, but its guardians. The stars don't tremble anymore when human ships appear. They shine a little brighter, welcoming home the children of Earth who finally learned to walk among them not as warriors, but as teachers, students, and friends.